Hello and welcome to Good Morning Thailand. It is Friday, last day of the week. Joining me today is Waan.
Hi, Jake. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Nobody asked me that. And Mike Kenner.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Right, so today we will be talking about healthcare in Thailand. That is our main topic for today. But before we get started, I'd just like a quick reminder. If you'd like to catch up on yesterday's headlines, you can watch Thailand News Today with Jet on my top right. You can also stay tuned for Morning Top Stories with Caitlin. We have a new morning show where we go through all of Thailand and some of Asia's headlines and update you on the news that you need to know. So stay tuned for that. As for today's topic, healthcare in Thailand. So let me just start by saying that, more than 1 million foreigners actually travel to Thailand for medical tourism and for medical procedures. Thailand is one of the destinations in Asia, which actually amounts up to 80 to 90% from its neighboring Asian countries that people actually prefer to come to Thailand for medical purposes. Here's another statistic or fact. US Magazine CEO World says placed Thailand 6th in 2019 in terms of one of the best countries to have one of the best healthcare systems. So I'm going to start talking about basically, get both of your opinions and we can have a conversation on how good the healthcare system in Thailand is. Some countries like the UK do have the NHS where, because of the high taxes, healthcare is free or at a very low cost. And you can get almost all of these procedures, no matter who you are living in the UK, for free. But in Thailand, there are different options. It is a high destination for people coming here because it's a lot cheaper. So I guess my first question here is, what do you think about the Thai healthcare system? So I'll start off with Mike. Mike, do you have you come from the UK? Do you have experience with the NHS, and what do you think about Thailand?
Okay, I mean the NHS is very much it's like a political debate, kind of like a religious debate. In the UK, for any of the UK viewers or the outside viewers that understands the NHS, the UK has adopted this as a religion. It's something you really can't criticise, although I am very critical of this. The NHS is basically a healthcare system that's free for everyone, which is an amazing concept in itself. I think the issue is, as someone who's seen healthcare outside of the UK, the majority of people living there have never accessed health services outside of their native country. But from someone who has now accessed healthcare services in multiple countries, I'm very critical of the NHS in relation to, if you had, for the free service is amazing, but if you're looking for, in terms of quick access to medical treatment, access to specialists on speed or anything like this, it's a very slow, expensive, inefficient, system that's been created. I mean, a huge amount of people work for the NHS. I think it's 1 in 20 Brits work for the NHS. It's one of the biggest employers of the world. That services a country of 60 to 70 million people. So my experience at NHS is that it's good in relation to conceptually. If you're looking for quick access to treatment, it's not amazing. I mean, for the big procedures, like if you have cancer, they're very quick to move, or if you have you're having a childbirth, and they're very good in relation to that. But my experience with NHS has been not the most enjoyable experience going there, speaking to GPs about general problems. Remember that because they're acting as a state effectively controlled business, they're limiting you in your choices to access specialist treatment because of the cost. So they're always trying to measure cost, versus efficiency here. And so you sometimes it would be better to go private in some experiences. So if I made then the comparable to Thailand, where there is, for me as an expat living here specifically, so only expats, there is obviously a free healthcare system, because if you have a work permit, which I have access to, but I don't utilise, I have a private care, and I pay a lot of cash in relation to going to access, health treatment. The service is exceptional. Very quick. Number one, very quick access to doctors and specialists. So if you have, for example, a headache, you can go and speak straight to a neurologist without a queue. And I think even in the UK, even if you have private medical, you don't have that speed of access there, because obviously it's very competitive in relation to waiting times. Number two, you get a lot of time with the doctors. So one is speed of access. Two is the amount of consultation time you get. You get a lot of time with doctors. Also, the medical equipment they have in the private hospitals in Thailand is of the latest standard, latest quality. They have all the latest, MRI machines, X-ray machines, and facilities to treat different individuals. So the actual equipment there is of the highest quality. They're importing from the latest innovations from out the US or other countries, whereas say in the NHS, for example, they would, it's all about cost here. They couldn't afford to bring in the latest equipment and quickly replace it. Then I would go in relation to, if you're an inpatient and the wards you get, you usually get access to, good wards, good care in relation to nurses. You're very well looked after. So I have only positive things to say about the private healthcare system within Thailand. Okay. Now, I know that Waan is going to talk about the public healthcare, which is obviously a very different, aspect. So go for it.
That's exactly where we're going. One, I'd like to add, let's look at a different perspective.
Yes.
As a Thai national, as a local from, you're originally from Nakhon Si Thammarat.
Thai, yes.
Okay, that is a province in the south of Thailand. What do you think about, the Thai medical system? Do you think it's expensive?
Well,
how good is it?
The system is, I will talk about the pre-COVID situation because that's normal situation. I would say the Thai medical system in Thailand is really impressive. It's really impressive in the way that most of, I would say like more than 90% of the population can get really, really cheap access to the system. I mean, if you have like a common symptoms, like common illness, you have a headache, you can pay for like 30 baht, which is like $1, I guess. Yeah, which is really cheap. And there will be like privilege for some career as well. For example, my mom, she worked for the government and she can go to the hospital because about 5 years ago she has a breast cancer and she got a really, really good medication and surgery in a really cheap price. So she was sent to large public hospital and the process was very quick. But normally, if you go to the public hospital, there's a price to pay. I mean, it's not about the money. The money is really cheap. The cost is really cheap, but you have to wait. You have to wake up so early to be there, and then maybe you can see the doctor for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
For basic treatment or basic diagnosis, yeah, it works. But if you have some other symptoms, it seems not to cover. But still, the system, the healthcare system of Thailand is still impressive to me.
Right.
Yes.
And so that's a good point you made because you're right. There might be, even though you're going to the public hospitals, there might be a very long queue and you have to wait for a very long time, even though the doctors and the facilities are great. Which leads me to my second topic of basically insurance. I'm guessing the type of insurance you have, if you can afford any type of insurance, good insurance, would determine where you actually go for healthcare. So if you have good insurance and if you can afford it, you'd go to the private hospitals. Yeah. If not, you do have another option to go to the government hospitals. So I'll start with you, Waan. How do you think, is insurance cheap in Thailand? Is it affordable? If you wanted to go to the private hospitals, would it be impossible for a normal Thai person to go without, a good insurance?
Well,
would the minimum allow them to go?
If we compare, if we see the average income of the population in Thailand, I wouldn't say it's cheap but it's still affordable. But because we have so many choice of treatments, people have like choice to pay. For me, I would pay to go to private hospital, pay for the insurance to go to private hospital because it saves more time. As Mike said, it saves like a lot of time. You can have like thorough check. And you can just use get a treatment from the latest technology, well-trained staff, and so on. Okay. That's it.
Right, Mike. In Thailand, you can save up to 50 to 75% of the cost of medical treatments compared to countries like US or New Zealand or Australia. Do you think, I mean, obviously this is being one of the main reasons why people would fly here, but do you think when these people come in, like insurance plays a big part of it, or is it only about the money?
So, I mean, I can speak from two perspectives. So, in our portfolio of groups that DBV own, which is my company, one of them is Tadu, which is probably one of the leading online insurance platforms in the country. And the biggest issue in Thailand for Thai nationals is they don't fully understand or adopt insurance products. In the West, we all understand insurance. You know, you have health insurance, you have protection insurance, you have house insurance, you know, you have property insurance, you have all different types of insurance that is very common. Life insurance, lots of different insurance. In Thailand, insurance is still very much a new product. There is no comparable platform. So you can't go on to, for example, a comparison engine and select your health insurance. Currently, at the moment, you have to go and speak to a broker. It's a very old, dated process. So you can't just get online insurance very, very quickly. I mean, maybe some insurances like COVID insurance, which is slightly scammy, which have, you know, we've heard about this happening in Thailand where they're offering insurance to Thai nationals, or maybe travel insurance is probably a product they're now trying to sell online. But everything else, there's no comparable engines, there's not enough insurance players. And Thais do not fully understand the value of insurance. So that covers the insurance side. From a medical tourism perspective, another company that we own is called Medial. It's one of the biggest medical tourism platforms actually globally. And we find there is a huge amount of attraction to come to Thailand to do all sorts of medical needs. This could be, I mean, we have a big influx, for example, in Thailand specifically, from the UAE, just having general health checkups. Going and getting general health checkup in Thailand is much cheaper. For example, the cost of a consultation, let's just say Bangkok Hospital, which is one of the biggest, most prestigious hospital groups in the country, to go and see a specialist usually for a consultation will cost you between 1,500 to 2,000 baht. So between $60 to $80 to see a specialist. Say that could be a neurologist just for the consultation. If you compare that to, say, the UK, which I've done and seen neurologists there, it could be anything from £500 to £1,000 for the same type of consultation. Huge price difference. So people coming over here for checkups, health consultations, and then the main part, people coming over here, especially medical tourists, which is they're coming here for only medical reasons, is for cosmetics.
Yes.
Thailand has become one of the key destination cosmetic surgeries. There's a huge influx, and that's both women and men. And we see all different types of procedures across the board that people are coming in for.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Why do you think so many people do come to Thailand for cosmetic surgery? Now, yes, like we said earlier, you know, they come for big procedures like heart surgery or, you know, joint replacement, the really expensive ones. But Thailand is very popular for cosmetic surgery, and I'm guessing, you know, due to the not nature, but, you know, Thai people are very open to cosmetic surgery. It's not frowned upon. It's not something, you know, they're very open to it. They're very honest about it, that many people would choose to do it. Why do you think so?
I think they come for many reasons. First, I would say it's about the doctor performance, because the surgery in Thailand is really good. They they can get like the natural look to the people. When it comes to surgery, you would expect something like look more natural, right? So it's about the performance first, and second, it's about affordability, because the cost of the service, the whole service, is just like much cheaper for the really good quality. And then after the surgery, you can just go travel. I mean, there are so many reasons together to attract people to just like come for the surgery, enjoy themselves. You know, Thailand is just a hub.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes.
Come to Thailand to do a surgery, and after you can
just like show yourself to the the world. That's it.
Okay. For now, we're going to take a quick break, and after the break, we're going to come back and look more towards the future of medical tourism in Thailand. We'll be back right after this. And welcome back to Good Morning Thailand. You're watching with me, Jay, Waan, and Mike, and we're talking about the medical industry and healthcare in Thailand. Now, Mike, let's continue our conversation. I do want to know basically where the medical tourism in Thailand is going towards and the future of it. But before I start, you know, I want you to give me some interesting topics. When people come here for medical reasons, right? We know the main surgeries and stuff, but what are the interesting, reasons that people come here for?
I mean, so if I just said the common things people are coming for, I mean, dentistry is massive here.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If you go any core city, you see hundreds of dental clinics, smile clinics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dental is very cheap here in relation to the West. And most of the uninsured products is what really thrives in relation to the medical tourism in Thailand. For example, insurance usually only it doesn't usually cover cosmetics. There are insurance coverage that does cover cosmetics, but the majority do not. So that's where Thailand really thrives. So if we look at like the core cosmetic surgeries, I mean, like breast augmentation, which is boob jobs, is a very, very, very common one. Like huge amount of women are coming to Thailand to get their boobs done, whether they're enlarged or reduction or all different types of surgery that are happening. But if you ask me for what the funny ones are, I mean, after I don't run the business, but after operating it from like a board level, it's very interesting to find out what people do. I mean, there's really interesting ones. I mean, we have, especially in Thailand, we have a lot of gender reassignments now, where men are becoming women or women are becoming men. We have something called labiplasty, which is very, very popular. And that is basically vaginal reshaping, which seems to be taken off, especially amongst women who have childbirth or slightly older women. Brazilian butt lifts have become very, very popular. We get huge amounts of inquiries when we look at the top procedures coming in. Basically, what we found out, and this is something that I didn't really realise when I was looking at this business initially, is that people are very vain, and there are thousands of operations you can actually get, and all different types of variations. The list is just so extensive, but Thailand caters for everything pretty much, every type of cosmetic surgery. I think the only country that is currently on par with, say, the facial side is South Korea. There's a huge influx for lips and facial changes in relation to South Korea. That's the biggest competition, but otherwise Thailand in Southeast Asia is a hands down leader in medical tourism.
Right. All right, let's go towards the future. Now, I've read a lot of articles, and one part of the medical industry that people tend to forget or not pay that much attention to is wellness tourism. So what I mean by that is a large proportion of people actually come to Thailand for wellness medical treatment. What I mean by that is that they come to those spa retreats or hotel retreats where you can basically go to hidden away resort in the middle of a jungle, away from all the noise. You do yoga there, you have a nutritious diet, you go to the spa, you get your health back in order, you detox yourself, and there's a huge industry in that, and a lot of experts say that the future is heading towards wellness tourism, especially during these post-pandemic times. Unless you have a heart surgery that you must do, it can be difficult to travel. And before the Phuket Sandbox, how would people be able to travel to Thailand? But especially during these post-pandemic times, it makes more sense that people might travel to Thailand for these wellness reasons. Firstly, let's just start. Are you aware of these wellness tourism resorts and spas that people come here for, and do you think that the country might be promoting that and heading towards that?
Yes, I think that is like one in the program for people to come here, because we have an excellent spa, like 5-star spa, and so many programs that people can just like, for example, some nomads, they might come here to work, right? But at the same time, they want to balance their life with the healthy lifestyle. So Thailand can be the best hub for that, because we have like wide range of service, not just like surgery or medical tourism, not just that. We have like service, we have activity for them to try. So many, and for example, like traditional massage, or it's always famous for the tourists.
Acupuncture,
Acupuncture,
medical massages,
the
as well.
hot stone, the cupping, so many things.
A lot of people come here to detox and get away from all the wild things. Even though Thailand is popular for its entertainment, people actually do prefer to come to certain parts of Thailand to get away. Mike, any comments on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that wellness in Thailand, I mean, obviously pre-pandemic was amazing. I mean, you look at places like Koh Samui or Koh Phangan, and they have huge amount of yoga and wellness retreats. I mean, big shout out to Vikasa. They're a good friend of ours, and they've got one of the most amazing retreats in Samui. I mean, the only issue is obviously the pandemic has smashed these businesses apart. All medical tourism businesses, anything wellness, anything hotel related. So unfortunately, a lot of these companies and businesses that offer such great retreats to recover, especially if you're stressed out at work or you're going through mental or medical issues and you want recovery, these were the best places to come, because not only were the people great and the services great, but the actual idyllic, situation on the beach, amazing views. It really is. It really energizes you to a huge. I've done it a few times, so I've really enjoyed it. So, yes, wellness in Thailand is a huge, aspect moving forward. A lot of hotels. I mean, let's be honest. When we look at all the hotels in Thailand, there is a kind of a copy and paste method that's happened, where you have these box hotels, boring hotels everywhere offering the same part. I think now the hospitality industry is innovating to be like, we have to offer something else. So a lot of these 5-star resorts are really incorporating wellness, and sometimes they just try and add in a spa to try and get more money and overcharge on the massages. But some of them are actually really going down like a luxury offering and actually investing time and value into it, as opposed to how can we just make more money from a few tourists. And these businesses are seeming to do really well. So I think in relation to wellness, post-pandemic, we're hoping for a great recovery. I mean, there are amazing places, especially in the islands, for retreats and wellness retreats, yoga, meditation, and other holistic type of healing retreats. So it's very popular.
Right, okay. The last question before we leave, I'm just going to ask you, Mike, quickly. Do you think that, Thailand's economy coming back after the pandemic, they're planning to reopen in late October. Do you think the tourism or the country would heavily rely on this medical tourism? Is there a future for medical tourism in Thailand?
So the government, there is a sector of the government called the BOI, which is the Board of Investment. Now, they offer medical tourism businesses tax breaks. Because they want medical tourists into the country. So they want this type of businesses here. They're making a huge beeline to become medical tourism country of the whole world. This is really where the government wants to take Thailand. And I think it's very achievable, because they've got a huge amount of private hospitals. They're not old banged up hospitals like you see in some of the Western countries. They're like palaces here. They're perfect for this type of scenario, and a huge amount of wellness retreats. So I think post-pandemic, I think they will end up in a net plus scenario where some of these, medical tourism, even regions will actually see a positive gain post-pandemic, where people look at, they've been stuck at home, they want their procedures being done. It's so restrictive during COVID anyway in their home countries that I think medical tourism will see a huge influx of people. So we're very bullish in relation to how this market recovers.
Right, Waan, final thoughts. Do you think medical tourism will attract a lot more people back to Thailand once the country's reopened?
Yes, because right now we are stuck in the country because of the pandemic. And then I believe that people will concern more about how to take care of themselves and how to find balance, because even me, I really want to travel right now. I just want to go somewhere, and I think people will have the same feeling to me. Then it's gonna have a bright future for us right now, and for the country, and for people to come here as well. Thailand has resources to do that, plenty of resources to do that.
All right, cool. And that is our episode for today, talking a quick look into healthcare in Thailand. If you do have any questions, experiences, comments on the things we've discussed today, your personal experiences and feelings towards healthcare in Thailand, and perhaps to your own country, please leave them in the comment section below. As for me, I would like to say thank you to Waan.
Thank you.
And thank you to Mike. It's Friday, and this might possibly be Mike's final day.
This is my final day, guys.
A guard of honor for Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike, for joining me for the last 2 weeks while Tim has been on break. I'd also like to say a final thank you to Jason behind the buttons. That's all for today. Hope you have a great weekend ahead, and hope you have a great Friday. Thank you, and we will see you on Monday.
Thank you.
Thanks.